Back to the Passionate Pioneer podcast with myself. You know me, I'm Beth, and today my guest is Kelly Anderson. Hi, Kelly.
Hey Beth, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Very, very hot.
Fine.
Very,
Yes.
very hot. It's summer. It's still summer. It's August. So you know me, my motto: empowered women, empowered lives, creating this fabulous community of passionistas together. So let me introduce my guest today. Kelly is a powerhouse solo mom, artist, and wellness expert. From Pilates to confidence, she's got you covered. Kelly's passion for helping women and families shine through is shown in her work of being the founder of the Feelin Good Mama. Plus, she's the co-author with her daughter of Violet and the Voices, which covers health and mindset topics for kids. Listen now as she shares her incredible story.
Wow.
I know.
That's an introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so nice when I introduce my guests and they're just so astounded that, all right, is that me? Gosh, that's incredible, right? But it is you. So take ownership, right?
Yes, it's been a process, but I'm taking ownership, definitely.
Right. So let's talk about your story then. So I'm going to, this is a question, it's a funny question actually, which is what initially sparked your passion. Did you always know you wanted to pursue this dream, or was it a journey of discovery? And of course, it's always a journey of discovery, but I'd like you to take us back on this journey and start where you want.
Wow. It's definitely been a journey of discovery. And it's interesting because just earlier today, I was thinking about what I'm doing and all the different parts of my life that were preparing me for this. You can look back and you can kind of see the breadcrumbs of, oh, wow, like I was into that and now I'm doing that more. And so I've been an artist my whole life. My mom said that I started drawing, I was drawing boats and flowers and animals when I was 3. And she said they would all just be just astounded and just couldn't believe that at 3 that I had this ability. And so art has been just a huge part of my life. And I always knew I wanted to be an artist in some capacity, but like a lot of artists, all along the way, you're told you can never make it as an artist. You're gonna starve as an artist.
Yeah.
It's such a life of struggle. And so I heard that so much that I went to school, I went to the University of Georgia, and I do have a degree in drawing and painting. But as soon as I got out, I knew I had to get a real job. And I did not want to get a real job, but because that was the message I had been presented my whole life, it's horrible to go through 4 or 5 years of college doing something that you love, but knowing as soon as you get out, you're not going to be able to do that thing. It's soul crushing. But I was hell bent on being an artist. And so I
Good for
started
you.
I started a regular real job because I felt like everyone around me wants me to have a real job that's going to make them feel better. So I'll get my real job, but then I'm also going to do my own thing. So I was in my 20s. I was working a regular job, but then I also had a mural painting business. And so any free time I had, I was painting murals in people's homes. I was painting murals on the sides of buildings in our hometown. And I I didn't realize it at the time, but I was setting the habit of always having a real job and always trying to be an artist. And that has been my journey since my 20s, and I'm now 50. I've done that now for 30 years. And guess what? It's exhausting. And so finally I've come to the place where I'm like, I can't do the real job anymore. And I guess that started, well, I've known I couldn't do the real job. I was never ever really good at the real jobs, but I did get good experience, good skills and lessons from having real jobs. But I guess it was about 2020 that I was like, I can't do real job.
Right.
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do the real job. So that's when I really started diving into social media, branding, and really figuring out, okay, if I'm not going to have a real job, I have to have a job.
Well, it's not. Let's get away from that, because the job has got that, horrible connotation to it. That's when it's like a slavery system, isn't it? It's a system that they set up for workers years ago. It's the same with the education system, and they're broken systems where we're working 9 to 5 for very little reward. We might get a day off, if we're lucky, every week, and it's a slavery system, isn't it? So when you take control of your life, and when you empower yourself, you take back control, and you're doing work that you love, you're following your passions. That's not a job. That's your life's work. That's your life's purpose.
Yes.
Am I correct, Kelly?
Yes. So my real job in my 20s was in sales and also administration. So I was kind of doing a little bit of sales and a little bit of like bookkeeping, office work, clerical. So it was kind of the gamut. But when I look back now, that was in an academic setting. But when I look back now, I was like, I was getting all the skills that I needed for running my own business.
Right. And so again, you've come from the slavery system, which is the employee mindset. When you want to run your own business, you go into the CEO mindset, and it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
It's a whole different ball game, but because I had already been running a mural company, I had that. See, I started my mural company when I was 19. So I had that CEO mindset already. And so, I mean, literally for most of my life, it's like I've lived dual lives.
You've been fighting, right? Fighting duality,
like
right?
the peon, tell me what to do. I've been that person. And then I've been like, no, this is how we're doing it. I'm in charge, so it's kind of like these dual parts.
Yeah.
But in 2008, the economy tanked and my mural business tanked. And so I went 6 months without any mural work at all. And it had actually been a very good, thriving business until the economy just went sour. So I was like, I refuse to give up that part of me, but I've got to find something else.
Right.
So I had always also been very athletic. My dad's very athletic. I've always been a runner, just very physically fit into being healthy. So I thought, okay, I'm going to become an exercise instructor. I'll still keep working my real job, but now I'll become an exercise instructor and I'll still paint too. Cuckoo, crazy time here. But I did. And so I ended up, I did the whole great big Pilates comprehensive training, which took me 3 years. And then I became a personal trainer. So now I've got the health component.
Right.
And so literally from like age 29 to now, I have been I've been doing art and exercise and slowly trying to build these businesses, and still working some real jobs in there here and there too.
Right. Right.
So and I had a child in the midst of all that. I have a daughter. She's now 13. And in 2016, I lost my husband. So on top of all this craziness of trying to juggle all these jobs, when my husband was alive, it was actually a lot. There was not the pressure.
Right.
I could still keep working all these jobs, but do it in a way that I was enjoying it. And, it was more for fun because he had a great income. And then I lost my husband. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, thank God I've got all this experience, but now it's like the pressure's on. I have to make something happen with all of this. So I started a journey from 2016 after I lost him to trying to figure out how can I support me and my daughter without having to have a real job, because it's like something in my soul, I just cannot do it. I'm too much of a free spirit. I'm too strong-willed. I'm too creative. I can't do it. And so I started working very diligently, doing a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out, how do I combine all of these things that I've learned over the years? And so I like I said, I had continued to create art. And after my husband passed away, I started drawing this character. And I would just doodle her here and there. Olivia, my daughter, absolutely loved her. And I would show her to people here and there. Everyone seemed to just love this character. So I started putting her on Facebook, and I gave her her own Facebook page. And slowly she started to grow a following. And then people started to say, when are we going to have a book? We want a book with Violet. So this is our character. This is Violet here.
Nice.
She's very quirky, and she's got a little dog named Prince and a bird named Hollis and a cat named Wheeler. And so in, let's see, 2022, September of 2022, my daughter and I, we decided we are going to do a book. So she wrote the book, and I ended up doing the illustrations. And last October of 2023, we self-published our first book called Violet and the Voices. And so this is like my pride and joy. This is my second child right here.
Right.
This was so much work. I never knew creating a book of any kind would be so much work, but I'm so proud of it. And we launched October 2023, and just from promoting on social media, we made $4,000 off of this book in a month, which I was really, really proud of.
That's great.
And so we love Violet. And so I've been working to combine exercise and mindset and art for all these years. And they've come together very well with Violet, because she is a mindset and movement coach for kids. And this book here is all about battling our negative voices that we have in our head.
Well, I was just going to ask, what do you mean voices? Because, you know, it's the negative Nellies, isn't it, in the head, right?
So basically throughout the book, she's confronted with these negative voices. So in all of these little quote bubbles, there are just all the negative things that we might tell ourselves.
Right.
And so it's basically, she gets fed up with the negative voices, and she decides to do something about them. And it basically is what she decides to try to do to get rid of the negative voices. And in the end, she comes up with a really big solution. So you have to actually read the book to get the solution.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, there's no spoiler here, right? We're not revealing anything here.
No, you definitely have to. But I have
that's great.
It's been a lot of fun and great response. Everybody who reads the book loves it. I have so many adults who tell me everyone needs this book, grown-ups, kids, everyone. And I think that's kind of, I think it sums up a big answer that I have received over these years of trying to figure all this out, is that we have way more control of our thoughts than we think we do.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think we're just so programmed to believe, for one, that we have to think like everyone around us, or, or that's just life. It has to be miserable or, terrible or whatever. But you have more of a choice than you think you do.
I think it's about choosing yourself, isn't it? It's about choosing, self-care is really good, choosing the right thoughts and positivity. I mean, I don't mean toxic positivity, because everybody has a bad day, but it is about reframing things and just saying, okay, well, that happened, but that doesn't make me who I am just because that happened, right? One bad day does not make a bad week.
Right.
It doesn't make a bad month, right?
Yes.
The next day you can always start again and say, okay, let's do things differently today, right? So and I love that that you spent the time with your daughter. It's been a labor of love, and I understand that as an author myself of a children's book and another book about my journey, like a self-help book. And I understand that it takes time, and that you don't realize when you starting writing it, especially with a children's book. You've got the illustrations, you've got the editing, etc., etc. It really is. It does take a long time to get it to get exactly what you want. I remember the illustrations. I had to find the correct illustrator, for example. And I think there was about 4 different illustrations, and I had to go through them all and see which one was best. What was in my mind is not necessarily what's in the illustrator's mind, right?
Right, definitely. And I guess that's the part that I'm fortunate, I'm blessed that I could illustrate my own book.
Right.
Because I was like, it has to be how I want it to be.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I self-published also. Do you see a theme that I don't like?
Absolutely. I love it. I love the theme. I love the theme, Kelly. And I love the fact that it's been a journey of discovery, and the fact that you just held on to your passion and joy and the thing that lights you up. You held on to that regardless of the fact that, every mother and his son told you you've got to get a job, because that's, we're of the generation that we had to, our parents were the silent generation, mine were, but they just did what they were told. They just shut up and did what they were told. You've got to get a job. You've got to do it this way. This is the way it's always been done, and this is the way. And so you did that because nobody else had set any other precedents. That's what came before. And I think slowly over time, our generation, especially Gen Xers, I see a lot of us now starting to have a voice, now starting to say, okay, we're not doing that because that's what I was told I had to do or I should do. And now I'm going to make the choices for myself. But I love the fact that you've always held on to this, this joy and the passion throughout your life. And it must have been difficult, Kelly, to do that and to juggle, you know, the two different sides, to juggle the
Well,
job and the
I
and
mean, it's still ongoing, but like beyond difficult, especially raising a child on my
right,
own.
right.
It, beyond difficult.
But
I mean,
you've
and,
got through it. I mean, you okay,
well,
you're
I
still
don't know that
going
you
through it.
ever feel I don't know that you ever feel like you've gotten through it because you have so much programming that tells you it's almost, I mean, really for me, it's a daily battle because I had so much programming that it was almost a bad thing to do what you want and do what you love. It's almost like bad. And I see
Yeah,
where that comes from because they didn't get to do that. They
yeah,
didn't make that choice for themselves. So they kind of feel like, well, if I didn't get to do it, you don't get to do it. And
right.
so I understand that where that comes from, but I'm kind of like, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
doing
don't know about you, but I felt that, you know, I took my parents on a bit of a journey. They lived their lives, their later lives, you know, cathartically through me and my travels and me following my passions and doing what I want. And I feel it gave them a lot of joy because they were like, oh, look what's possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really nice thing to do, a bit like you're doing now with your daughter, is you're showing her, look, this is possible.
That is the thing that drives me. That is the thing that keeps me pushing because I have really struggled. Like I have not had an easy journey at all. If anyone ever looks at me and says, "Oh, you had it easy," I did not. And not that I think it's bad to have challenges. I don't think that's bad at all. I think it's given me a lot of grit that I'm very proud of. But my daughter, she's already lost her father. She lost her father when she was 5. I'm like, this kid, I don't have to worry about her having grit. She's going to have grit. I want her to be doing in her life what she loves. For
Right.
me, that is like the most important thing, that she doesn't have to juggle 4 or 5 jobs just to appease, you know, the
Parents, the norm of
mentality.
society. Yes, yeah,
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 just to
yeah.
appease what everybody else. You got to have a normal job. Okay, I'll work myself to death to appease everybody around me, but still get a little of what I want.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of grit there in the story. And I do think you're right. I think, you know, through adversity, we learn lessons. It makes us stronger. I mean, literally what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay, there is a lot of trauma. And like, you know, you were talking about the layers of conditioning. I mean, it's, you know, literally I feel like it's just taking a coat off every time. It's like you've been wearing 50 coats, and it's every time you take one off, it feels a little lighter, right?
And it's not just like, it's not my parents, it's generations.
Yep.
It's generations of this thinking, like in
Yeah.
my family, at least, it's like, you're not really a valuable person unless you're just working yourself to the bone. And I look at that mentality now and I'm like, well, I've worked myself to the bone. It's like, I'm ready
What's
to actually like enjoy my life,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's that mentality. I don't think it doesn't give you a beautiful life,
No.
it's just, you just
In
work
fact, it
yourself.
just numbs you. It just numbs you, doesn't it, to everything. It numbs you to the joy of life because you go to work, you come home, you go to work, you come home. You know, on the weekend, maybe you're drinking to drown your sorrows, or you're stuck in Netflix or doom scrolling on social media. You're completely oblivious to who am I? What makes me happy? What do I want to do? And I think that a lot of women I see, you know, especially in their 30s and their 40s, are really, this is the awakening. They're awakening to themselves. They're like, what do I want? Why am I following everybody else's advice? You know, oh,
Yeah.
I can't be creative. I can't do this. I'm not good enough to do this. I'm not smart enough to do that. You know, this is not the right path for you. You to something or other, right? And there's, you know, I'm not good enough. There's lots of not good enoughness going
Yes.
around, right?
Yes.
And that's because of all these coats that we're wearing from, like you said, it's generational. You know,
Yeah.
it's what we used to do. You know, I used this example the other day, Kelly. See, tell me if what you think. You know, we've still got this male and female roles of, you know, worker would be female, CEO male, teacher female, professor male, nurse female, doctor male. So why is it that we've got to change this, right? Because this is ingrained in our DNA and we've got to claw our way out of it. Do you agree?
Well, I think it's a hard, I really think about this a lot because I am now in my situation as a solo parent. I have to be both.
Right.
And I really feel like sometimes as a female, I'm very driven. I'm very driven to lead, but I don't think women are necessarily made to push so hard as a as a man leader.
Right.
I don't feel like we have that in us to push that hard. I don't think we're necessarily built that way. And having to be that, I want to be a leader. I want to be a CEO, but I don't want to be like,
Well,
oh,
that's it, isn't it? Because that's the masculine energy of doing and
right.
drive, you know, being driven and high achieving and being the powerhouse, right? That's very masculine energy. And I think we're learning now that we don't have to do that as leaders. We can have a balance of both.
Personally, I feel like men should still be leading and they should still be kind of leading with that, like pulling the weight.
Right.
And the women and the children are bringing what is beautiful and lovely and
Co-creating.
amazing and inspiring. That's what the women and the children are here for. And I feel like that has gotten out of balance.
Yeah.
And now the women are the ones going, oh, and the men are kind of like, okay, if she wants to do it, let her do it.
I agree with you. There needs to be.
We're losing
We've
the
tipped it
beauty.
too far the other way, haven't we? You know, it was this way, and that's too much. Now we're the other way, and we've got to find this balance, this harmony.
Yes, I
right?
think that's what we've lost. I still feel like the woman's way, she can still be a leader. She can still be just, really pulling a lot of people to a big, beautiful place, but she's doing it in a softer, slower manner.
Motivating and inspiring people, right?
Exactly.
Empowering them.
Yeah. And so I think that's how I really want to be leading and creating this thing that I'm creating. So with my Feelin Good Mama, that brand is all about what we're just talking about.
Right.
It's all about lifting up women to live their most inspired, beautiful, creative, just magical lives, but find a way to do it where they're not just, oh, I got to just keep going. I'm really ready to be done with that. And so, yeah,
that's when the struggle is real. The struggle is real because you are like pulling everybody else behind, right? And you can't do that for long periods of time.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I personally feel like men need to be encouraged to start taking a little more of the lead again.
Right.
I think there's a real thing out there that's trying to push men down. Men aren't meant to be pushed down. They are meant to be carrying the load, carrying the weight, pulling all of us, and we're here to make it beautiful, to make the
Nice.
experience beautiful. And that's, if I have any part in this whole thing, that's what I want to.
And we can't change society overnight. We know these things happening, but what we
Why
can
not,
do
Ep? Why
is we
not?
can change. If we change ourselves and our mindsets, it has a knock-on effect. And that's how we do it. You can do it. You just do it one step at a time. You say, well, I can't. How do I change everybody else's? No, slow down. Just change your mindset. And then it has that other people go, oh, I didn't think of it like that. And they start thinking differently. And then the next person starts thinking differently. And that's how we create this ripple effect. Right.
And that's why I love social media too. I feel like, so I have literally almost posted every single day since 2015. And you would think I would have a lot more, it doesn't matter, but I have been very diligent about just keep putting out, try to put out positive stuff to keep, and I feel very strongly about that. You know, that's become a habit of just keep helping do whatever little part I can to lift people up and keep going, you know. And yeah, I love social media for that.
Yeah, it's a good platform. I think it's become a bit overwhelming at times because but I still think it's great for business, and there's lots of inspiration and motivation on there. So tell me about your role models on your journey. Obviously you've lost your husband, you're now a single parent, you know, you've always liked this artwork. Has there been anybody that's kind of stepped in to and said, oh, I think that's great, Kelly, what you're doing, or has it really been a solo journey for you?
I mean, I would say I've had more of like a small village that has helped to push me. You know, when I lost my husband, I really, I was supported by so many people in that. And it really, I would not be here today if it wasn't for a small village of people that just kind of, they just kept, you know, pushing me. And now today, I said, I try to post daily. I have, and there are days that I'm like, oh, forget this. I'm not getting to anyone. And then a message will come in out of the blue. I love what you're doing. Please keep doing. You're helping so many people. And so those are the ones that are helping me, you know, by telling me, okay, you know, you're doing a good thing. Keep going. So I would say it's been a small village that has really helped me. I'm just so hugely grateful to everyone who has encouraged me along the way. And it's been, to me, I think it's just been an incredible story. And they really, everyone loves my daughter. She is just surrounded in so much love. And when I look back, it's really been incredible.
We need that, don't we? We do need people in our corner. We do need people on our side, you know, cheering the way and celebrating. There are always going to be people that, you know, sometimes you do feel alone as an entrepreneur, and, you know, and it does get a bit lonely sometimes. So it's really nice when you do get those messages. Keep going. We love what you're doing. It's just nice to have that encouragement and motivation.
Most definitely.
So what about doubts and fears that you've had when you, Let's talk about when you were doing your art and you were doing the job when you were younger, but you continued doing the art. And then let's talk about 2008 when you said you lost the and you had all those doubts and fears. How did you overcome them, Kelly? What motivated you?
I've never overcome them.
Right. So tell us what did you do then? Tell us what you did.
I pretty much live in a state of fear. Like that is like my normal state. I live in, and it's because I keep stepping out of what I was told and taught to do. I just keep like sticking my foot out there, like I'm just gonna try this. I'm just gonna try this. And I'm always doing that. And I'm always doing things that just terrify me. And I'm doing something big right now that I'm constantly like, what have I done? What have I done? Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? But that's been the state that I've lived in my whole life. And so I guess I'm used to it, but you never
Right.
conquer the fear. I've taught with exercise alone. I've been teaching since 2006. I've probably taught 6,000 classes. Still to this day, I teach 4 or 5 classes a week. Still to this day, when I'm about to step out in front of all my people that I know very well, I still get nervous.
Right.
You just, when you're stepping out in life, at least from my experience, it's just scary. And
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's no conquering anything. You've just got to push through the fear, haven't you? And I think stretching yourself, I started this podcast. I didn't know. I read some information and they said, get the microphone, choose a topic but choose a topic that you're really passionate about, that, you're not going to trail off after a few episodes. And so I just started, and it's just grown and grown. Now I'm doing special episodes with industry leaders, and it's a bit it's always out of my comfort zone. Using my voice was out of my comfort zone. Speaking publicly was out of my comfort zone. But the first time I saw myself on video, I was like, cringe. Oh no, that's terrible. Right. You just get used to it. Right. You just get used to it. And then you just take the next. And it is, especially as an entrepreneur, there's always room to take that next step and the next step and the next step. And I think more so than in just a job, because you just get comfortable in your job and there's sometimes no room to grow, or you don't want to grow because you're just comfortable here. But as an entrepreneur, I think that, you're challenging yourself all the time. I think it's constant growth mindset.
Constant. I feel like everyone should do 2 things in life. They should have their own social media profile and be active on it, because that's huge. You're forced to really self-reflect a lot when you do that, and you are forced to really put yourself on the line, get yourself out of your comfort zone a lot. With I think having a social media profile is one of the best things you can do for gaining confidence and, feeling like I can do just about anything. And
Right.
then I also think everyone should be an entrepreneur, even if it's just like network marketing or, just some side gig business.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone should do that, because it's just a lesson for life to me. And that lesson is, you got to put yourself in very uncomfortable situations and see it
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, there's no growth on the sofa watching Netflix, is there? There's just no
No
growth
growth.
there, right?
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna write that one down. There's no growth on the sofa. Oh,
No growth on, there's no growth on the sofa, right? You've got to really get out of your own way. You've got to get out of your comfort zone and do something that's truly terrifying.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it is anything that's the unknown is terrifying for most people.
And just get used to that feeling, you know, that little, that, you know, you can eventually kind of get used to that little knot in your stomach, that kind of underlying feeling of nausea. You can kind of just get used to. I live with it on a daily basis, but you know what? I almost kind of I like it, you know, because along with that is that little bit of excitement, that little
It's
bit
that
of,
adrenaline rush, isn't it?
yeah, there's that little bit of, oh, what's, you know, what's going to happen? What's around the corner here, you know, and yeah, that little bit of, you know, something really cool could come out of this.
Yeah,
So.
why not? I mean, if you don't know, do you? You know, it's what if, what if, what if, what if, what if it goes well? And I think sometimes you've got to, you know, we do things and we're like, okay, well, that didn't work. And you get used to it as an entrepreneur. Well, I tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can I do now?
Constant.
How can I reframe it? How can I try that in a different way? And you get used to that. That becomes the norm.
Yeah, and I think it's just huge, like brain growing stuff, you know, you're just constantly having to, oh gosh, how do I rethink this? How, you know, it's, yeah.
How can I reframe it? What do I need to learn now? Because that's obviously not. I need to study a bit more with this, or you know, or try this. But it is, you're constantly in that state, aren't you? Constantly trying new things. And I think you've got to have that growth mindset in as an entrepreneur for sure. So
and I think also one other huge aspect of this is you start to gain more self-love, because in this situation, it can't be perfect. It's just not going to be perfect. You have to learn to accept things are not going to be perfect, but we're going to keep moving forward. And when you start to let the perfection part go away, that's when you start to really love yourself. And you're like, I don't have to be perfect. I'm going to screw this up.
yeah.
That's what.
How many times have I screwed up? I can't. I've lost count. I've lost count how many times.
But I don't care, because we're moving forward here.
Absolutely. Keep the energy moving. It's that stuck energy where it's comfortable, it's stuck energy and nothing moves. And so you've got to keep going and keep trying and forget about what everybody else says. Right. I've had people laugh at me, following your passion. Oh, following your passion. That's what I know. But they're not digging deep enough. They're just seeing at the surface. Oh, just find something you love and it will bring you the rewards. No, it's a lot deeper than that. And there's a lot more things involved with it. Right, Kelly? But it's I just ignore the naysayers and I just continued and look where I am now. So it's
right.
You know,
and they've got that paradigm. They've got that paradigm going on that says you can't do what you love in life. I'm surrounded by so many people who think that way. And even still, like, I have people, I've been doing this now for 5-6 years, and people are still like, don't you think it's time to go get a real job? Don't you think it's time to go get a, and I'm like, I'm so far deep into this, there's no turning back, you know.
Right.
There's just
and it is real. This is real for me, right? You say this is real. This is what I'm doing. It's not difficult to understand, right?
It's just not the typical traditional thing, and people are threatened by that a lot. I think there's that part where they wish they had been able to do that themselves. And then they're also, you know, they're scared because it's a huge unknown. You are always living in the unknown in this, whatever this thing is. There're just so many unknowns about
in this experience we call life. I call this a meat suit. I'm just like, you know, remember, you are a soul having a human experience. You are here to learn lessons. You've got your village of people that come and help you. and then you've got the protagonist, always a couple of protagonists in there, right, to shove you in a different direction, right? But it really is a journey of discovery, and we come here with amnesia, and we're not learning anything new. We're just remembering who we are, and it's the journey of remembering who we are, and we are sovereign beings having a human experience, right?
But I think a lot of people, what they really can't remember, and they go through their whole lives not remembering, is that this is it. This is your one ride in this body, at least. This is your one ride. Why not max it out?
Max it out. I want to go in absolutely destroyed, going, woohoo, what a ride.
Yeah, max it out. Get out there and live and do some incredible, fun, amazing, inspiring things.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to go out.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you there. Absolutely with you there. That's I love that. I really love that. Max it out, right? Totally max it out.
Yeah. Like your credit card, it's just
max everything out. You can't take it with you. Just absolutely max everything out. Very good. Enjoy life to the max.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what are some things that you're still learning about yourself and your goals, Kelly?
So one thing that I was never taught, and somehow I happened upon Bob Proctor in 2019. Do you know Bob Proctor?
I certainly do know Bob Proctor, yes.
I love Bob Proctor. I love his teachings. And so all of a sudden I was introduced to this whole new world that you can visualize what you want, and you actually have the power of creating that thing.
Manifesting, absolutely.
Yes. And so I have been, ever since I've started this entrepreneurial thing, I've also been working very hard on the manifesting side of things. And so what I'm constantly working on now is, who is this next version? Who is this next version? What's this next version going to be doing? And so that's exciting. That's what everyone should be doing this in their life.
I know.
And it's just, to me, it's just that whole concept has just opened up. I'm already an artist. I'm already like imaginative and creative, but now it's just like, just huge.
Did you have a vision board, Kelly?
I do have a vision board. My daughter kind of hijacked it. She decided I had a few things on and she just went on one day and printed all the stuff that she wants.
I think it's an amazing thing. I do this with all my clients, and I talk about it all the time. I do master classes on them. I just think they're just amazing for getting very clear on the future you and your goals, and and they change all the time. And when you've got it in front of you, something tangible that you can see and read, people like that, because otherwise they're just thoughts. And, if you write them down, then they become real.
Yes.
Right.
So this book was the first real manifestation. I saw this book in my head and I said, this time next year, I want to have this thing. And it was one of the hardest things that we ever did. I wanted to give up many times, but we did it. And now I have a card of the goals that I want to achieve. This one's got a big check.
Right. And look, and I want you to keep that, I mean, I always say, when you've got your little, it's a trick I learned off somebody else, actually, another entrepreneur. I had a live interview with him a few years back, and he said on his vision board, he takes when he's manifested something, he takes it off and he puts it in a little treasure box.
Hmm.
or a photo album or something, so he can see exactly, you know, the things he's manifested. And I think that's great. But look
I
at
just
what you
take mine.
created.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, look at what you created. Look at the book you created. Look at the thousands of lives that it's impacting.
Well, I hope so. I hope thousands. That's the goal, definitely. But yeah, so the manifesting thing that has been huge for me. I was very skeptical in the beginning, but now I've just decided, you know what? I'm rolling with it, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna we're maxing it out and we're letting it all hang out, and we're gonna just make it happen, you know?
Okay, so questions I ask all my guests at the end of the interview, Kelly. The first one, what's one piece of advice that you wish you'd gotten earlier on your journey?
That exact thing that we were just talking about. If someone had told me when I was younger that I could start visualizing, and like I tell my daughter all the time, visualize it. She'll say, you know, oh, I wish I could do so and so. Start visualizing it, you know, start working on manifesting it. And I try not to tell, you know, I try really hard not to say that's not possible. I try not to use that language. I want her to think if she believes in her head that it's possible, then it's completely possible. So I wish that I had that instilled in me very early, that you can do whatever you want. You can make it happen. I kind of had the opposite of that beat into me. Oh no, you can't do what you want. Kelly, come back down to reality. I heard
Yeah,
that a lot.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds very familiar, right?
Yeah, I had that a lot. Kelly, you know, you've got to come back down to the real world. I heard that a lot.
Right.
Now I'm like, nope, I'm not about the real world. I'm all about creating my world, and hopefully it will benefit other people's worlds.
Yeah.
And
So stay in your lane, focus on your goals, visualize, manifest, do and follow your passion, follow what makes you happy. Don't worry about everybody else and what they're doing because they're all on their own journeys.
yes,
Right?
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm guessing, so what do you hope your story will inspire in other women who are listening today?
Gosh, I hope that they will hear this and start to believe it for themselves, that to know we're all great. We are all great. And we have been sold a bill of goods to tell us that we have to live small, we have to live mediocre, we have to just go through the motions, we have to be unhealthy, and then we die. And I refuse to believe these things.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell people, no, you get this one life in this body and max it out. Max it out and get out there and do good for other people. There's so much fighting and arguing, and it's horrible. And get out there and do good for
Yeah,
others.
we need some more kindness and love in the world, don't we?
Yeah, most
Very good.
definitely.
That's amazing. Great way to end. A million thanks to Kelly for joining me today. Thanks to our audience for hanging out with us. We hope you found it inspiring and empowering. For more information on how to join my ever-growing Passionista Society membership, or maybe you'd like to be a guest on this podcast and tell your own story, or if you would like to work with either of us, you can message either of us directly. So until next time, this is Beth and Kelly signing off.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, Beth. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. Bye.